It's Danny Salas here with a very, very special interview. No doubt you have seen her on your social media feed. You have definitely seen her name on hundreds and hundreds of yard signs in and around the 559. I'm here with Fresno County Superintendent Dr. Michelle Cantwell-Copher. Thank you very much for inviting me into your home. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here, Danny.
Of course. So I want to kind of just take this time, just sit down on a nice, relaxing weekend and kind of find out about you. Because like I said, we have seen a lot of things going on in the community that you have spearheaded. But I kind of wanted to take this time to let you talk about kind of the origin story of Dr. Copher. So like me, you are a local person. You are Central California local.
Absolutely.
And not just local, but super rural local. You came from Riverdale, yeah?
Yes.
What was that like coming up in Riverdale, California?
I loved growing up in Riverdale. There was something special about having everybody know my business. And my graduating class was 65.
Wow.
And everybody felt like family. And everybody really was devoted, I think, to raising up the youth in my community. I remember that through FFA competitions and speech and debates and basketball in middle school. The whole community came out to support us, and there was just something very comforting. I felt very safe. I felt very seen, and it was a really wonderful childhood. And I think it helped propel me into the future I have today.
I think the smaller communities, I think, are among the most powerful and most vocal communities. Again, speaking from radio experience, whenever we go to the smaller communities, South Valley, North Valley, those are the ones that really show up. They get excited. So again, coming up in a city like Riverdale, where quite literally everybody knows everybody's business, that kind of gave you the kind of trajectory where you would eventually end up, right?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, today, when I go out into our small communities, our Golden Plains, our West Side, our Mendota, Carruthers, on the other end, Sierra. And
I saw you were just in Fireball not too long ago, too, another small community.
I love visiting Fireball. The school community is the hub, and there's a sense that everyone's got a commitment to the school, and again, raising up by youth. And I think that's very, very special with our small rural communities.
So, and I know a lot has happened between the time you graduated out of Riverdale, home of the Cowboys, right?
Yes.
All right, go Cowboys. So between the time you left Riverdale to now being superintendent of schools, how did you get from point A to point B?
Well, 35 years worth of experience and education, I'd say. First, it was a big deal to leave my small town and go to Fresno State. I love that I'm an alumnus of Fresno State. Go Dogs.
Yes, go Bulldogs. Hey, a fellow alum of Fresno State.
And a shout out to my friend, Dr. Saul Jimenez Sandoval, and Victor E.
Yes, of course, Victor E. Bulldog in every iteration that we've had of Victor E. Bulldog, yes.
Yes, and I love that I got to be part of this extension of our community, and I'm proud to go to a football game and cheer on the Bulldogs and all of that. But the last 35 years, I've held every position there is in education. So I have that really unique perspective of understanding a child's life trajectory from age 0 to 22. And at every single step along the way, every single milestone is absolutely essential to raise them up and ensure that they don't fall through cracks in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the route you took going back to your Fresno State days, that was kind of just the accepted route that every child was going to make. They were going to graduate high school, you were going to go to college, and then you were going to have a career. So that was kind of the go-to. But now in the 2020s, there are so many different options for kids now these days. It's not just one path like it used to be, right?
It's true. It's true. In fact, kind of a mantra of mine is I want every kiddo to graduate from high school with a plan.
Yes.
A plan for college, career, or service. And, so we have to, from our perspective at the Office of the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools, we have to make sure that kids have robust offerings in A through G if they're college tracked. And that they have opportunities in CTE or ROP for career exploration. We have 65 different career pathways that our students can explore and figure out their passions and what they may be very, very good at.
And Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Some money.
That's exactly.
We want them to make enough money to take good care of their families. They want to do that too.
Because you brought up a great point. I was going to say it's not just a matter of finding a job. You want to find a career. You want to excel. You want to find something that's going to, again, take care of yourself and your family. And again, a couple decades ago, maybe those paths didn't exist. But right now, and all the programs that you've kind of spearheaded and been a part of, you are encouraging kids, again, just to have a plan.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. In fact, to that point, all of the trades unions have been so supportive of me and the work we're doing because they know that if we can demonstrate respect for that career path, our kids will find their place. And when they have the level of support from an apprenticeship or a trades family, they find, again, support scaffolding that gets them to that next level.
Right.
And what I've seen over and over and over is that when our students find their pathway to success, they always go back to their community and invest. Whether it's their mentorship, whether they're telling kids, hey, look at me, I did it. You can put too. Or in the case of Jennifer Alvarez from Mendota, she made a scholarship available for people. Jennifer is literally 2 years out of high school. As soon as she got her first big paying job, she made a scholarship available to kids in Mendota. So proud of those kinds of stories.
Yeah, that's amazing. And with that example, your example of, again, doing something for the community that raised you. I mean, I can't, again, going back to myself speaking in radio, it's kind of a rarity for somebody like me to have been in the same market in a bunch of different radio stations. Kind of, it makes a huge difference because it's not just having someone who's going to be a transplant. It's going to be someone from Riverdale who's making a difference in her community, like you, right? So it makes a huge difference for somebody to be able to speak about things that they have experienced, that they've gone through, about people that they have come across throughout the course of their career, from graduation through Fresno State and now at FCSS, right?
Yeah.
So it's about being local and really about having these kids have someone that they could be and have someone to advocate for them, right? Because in this day and age, students could be left behind in a whole number of different ways. But again, having somebody take them to the side and say, hey, you know what? We have a plan for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Because we care. We care about you. We care about your future. And by extension, the community gets bigger, stronger, better when we have more young people working and growing and contributing.
Cool. And to that point, again, if anyone has followed Dr. Copher on any social media platform, you have been involved in so many organizations, programs. How do you do it, and how do you decide which programs deserve or need the most attention?
Well, again, 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember some of the very first boards that I joined, realizing that when I understood what their cause was and how to help their cause, if you will, it was always so, if it's okay to use this term, symbiotic. If I invested in their cause, it probably would benefit education, youth, educators. Right. And so I've been looking for ways in the last 35 years to find win-win relationships. Yeah. And so I just love for example, the Marjorie Mason Center. If we stabilize families and remove domestic violence from their narrative, then we stabilize the student who then finds stability at home and at school, can thrive, and their resilience becomes part of their story. And they go off and they do amazing things with their futures. That's just one example of finding a win-win and those types of community partnerships that by investing my time in their board or in their cause, I learn how they work, and then I find a way for all of us to work better together.
And that's a great point, too. Again, it's all about networking in a way where you can take these kids and mentor them. I'll just use this as a personal example. I attended a Rotary Club meeting, and that is the first time I got a chance to meet you, just kind of on a personal level. Wasn't expected, but again, being in this community and making those relationships and building those bonds, that is what your work is all about, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's going to take the village to raise up our children.
It's cliche, but it really does. Like nobody should be expected to do this on their own, and nobody needs to do this on their own, which is a beautiful thing. I wanted to bring up one thing too, and again, something that's near and dear to my heart. one of the cool things that you've been a part of is you have actually been on the radio too. I recently talked to somebody over at One Putt Broadcasting, and you've been on K-Jewel for a cool education segment, right?
Okay, twice with
Let's
Philip
go.
Teresi.
Yes.
It was so much fun. I'm never surprised when somebody who feels a little disjointed or appears to look disjointed from education has a wife. And in the case of Philip, she's a classroom teacher. And so he had a lot of insider information about my business. So the conversation was so rich. It went in so many different directions. Who would have guessed that even though his wife is a secondary level teacher, that he was deeply invested in starting early with early care and education.
Yeah.
So we went off on this tangent about how important those first 5 years were and all the brain development. And that if we can stabilize a child's learning and they start kindergarten ready to go, not behind, then their trajectory for the balance of their high school years, if you will be very successful.
Absolutely right. And I base really the reputations of individuals that I meet kind of before I even meet them. Talking to Philip, talking to John Oslin, your name would come up. And it would be nothing but great glowing things.
Great friends.
And I kind of pride myself on that too. I want people to kind of have a good impression of me before they actually have a chance to meet me. And again, talking to anybody about Dr. Copher, nothing but great glowing things. And I think that's a reason why you've been so successful in everything that you've done, and a reason why you have a few more years that you are going to be doing some great things. What do we have in store for the next couple of years for Dr. Copher?
Oh gosh. First, I do want to say how much I've enjoyed being able to work with John Oslin at One Putt. We have for years had a relationship, and it's always been for the community's greater good.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the work we do with One Putt is all about what are some of the basics of raising a child and a family in this community, like dental care, like getting enough rest, like being prepared for the testing window, like having good attendance. And I get feedback from the community all the time that are just grateful that we're talking about the general wellness of our kids.
Because again, in the past, those conversations wouldn't happen, or if they did, they would be very few and far between, those conversations. And again, now there's so many different opportunities and different paths for our kids to follow. More importantly, I think it's easier for the parents to encourage their students when before they have the answers now.
That's right.
Right?
In fact, not just radio, although I did have a side note. I had so much fun talking about the importance of transferring your skills from a basketball court into the classroom when I was speaking with ESPN about a month or two ago. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
But I'm also really intentional about TV. I have a couple different stations that will invite me on a regular basis. And again, it seems like I'm talking about education, but I'm really talking about good parenting.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what our kids need in today's world with threats like social media and threats like fentanyl and threats that we never had growing up. And so every chance I get to talk to the general public about what I've learned about raising up our kids is always such a privilege.
Because it's tough to navigate. It's tough. And you being in the position you are, I'm sure it's important for you to have that team that supports you to go out. Because again, you're one person. You can't be everywhere at once. But it's important that you put together that strong team to support the mission.
Well, to that point, FCSS is home to the most talented educators and staff in anywhere. I mean, I'd put them up against anyone, anywhere across this country. They're remarkable, and their hearts for our students are so clear, whether they're crunching numbers, pulling wire for technology, providing wellness supports in our schools. Mental health is a huge issue for us. It's foundational to our children learning how to be well and learn. And we have 200 clinicians in our All for Youth program that help in our schools. Again, people don't know that. That's an example of FCSS being radically different than any other county office, I think even in the state of California. But you asked, what does the future hold?
Let's go.
So in the last 3.5 years, we've seen almost every metric we can study in an upward trajectory. So test scores are up in every single grade level. We're redesignating more of our EL learners faster and in a more efficient rate than the state of California. We have expanded so substantially our CTE offerings. About 5 years ago, we had 3 to 5,000 kids in dual enrollment. Today was 17,000 kids in our high school in dual enrollment. All of these are stats, evidence, if you will, that says that the momentum we have is working.
And those are things that you could see in black and white. Hey, this is where it was. This is where we are now, right? This is a success.
Exactly. And so that is a function of our office working well with our district superintendents and our charter school leaders, meeting the needs of our staff and our teachers, providing training and advancement in various different arenas. But again, the evidence is showing us that the momentum is going in the right direction. We're not where we need to be. Only 46% of our students are reading on grade level, and that just shows that we have extraordinary distance still to go. We're also doing that by mitigating their barriers to success. 1 in 4 of our students in our schools are food insecure. They have unstable housing. Their families are living below the poverty level. We want them to come to school, cross the threshold, feel safe, well seen, supported, have every one of their basic needs met so that they can do their job as a student, to live and learn and grow and thrive. And we are showing that it's working. So more of the same. We're going to continue to expand early care and education. We're going to continue to expand on those CTE dual enrollment and A through G offerings, and then everything in between. Early care, kindergarten, and high school, we're going to just make stronger, better, and more coherent and aligned so that we're offering up the very best we have every single day to our students.
And I think that's the difference between just pointing out that, hey, there's an issue here or we can improve here, and having a plan to make it so. Right? So let's make it happen.
I don't think in this office that we've ever had such a clear sense of direction of purpose. We have documents that say exactly where we're going. We have a strategic plan. We have an annual report because we believe in being honest, transparent, and accountable to the public. We have a legislative advocacy guide that says, hey, we're educators and we think these are the options and the important aspects for Sacramento to pay attention to. We have a cradle to career plan where we have civic infrastructure, a strategic plan in our office. Never before has there been a stronger sense of purpose and focus to raise up our children through powerful education, and with partners that are doing that with us.
And it comes from the top, right?
Thank you.
So one last question. I think we're all really curious. You spend a lot of time in and out of downtown Fresno. When we see Dr. Copher eating lunch, what's your favorite type of food? Mexican, Chinese, Indian? What do we got?
I'd almost say exactly in that order. Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, Mediterranean, pizza.
All right.
Every now and then I just eat a big bad pizza.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Dr. Copher, I want to say thank you for taking this time. And again, we've seen your name on yard signs. We've seen your name and face all over our social media feeds. And I know we're going to be seeing you in downtown Fresno in the offices of FCSS for years to come. So I want to thank you and wish you best of luck in everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.